Hello and welcome to your Daily Red podcast on late afternoon because I was a late sub into this. I would have usually done this about lunchtime, but yeah, I didn't realize it was me. But we're here. At least it's let us break some extra, well, I say break some extra news. It's the international break, nothing's bloody happening. Um, let's get into some of the news now. It's not the busiest day, as we say, but Manager of the Month and Player of the Month awards are up, and we have people in both of them. Obviously, Arnie Slot is up for Manager of the Month with our perfect start to the season, 9 points out of 9. He is up against Reggie Lebris of Sunderland, Enzo Maresca of Chelsea, David Moyes of Everton. And, I mean, surely it's got to be between Slot and Lebris, you'd think? I mean, David Moyes, obviously, let's get the table open. I mean, we're obviously top. Chelsea is second, but they did draw with Crystal Palace, so I'd probably rule out Maresca for that. But you look at Everton and Sunderland, fifth and sixth, only 3 games in, obviously, but on 6 points each. I'd probably say Slot should be favourite for that, but I wouldn't complain if Moyes or Lebris won that, to be fair. I mean, Sunderland, 2 wins already. And did they lose to Burnley as well? Maybe that discounts them. But yeah, considering the way promoted teams came into the league last 2 seasons, you should say, the fact that Sunderland already have 2 wins is massive. And Everton had a weird summer, didn't they? Seemed to leave quite a lot of their business late. And to be sat on 6 points already, they just kind of don't want to be in a relegation scrap again. Like they were one of those teams that were circling the drain for ages, weren't there? And we saw that for years and years. Whereas like Southampton, Stoke, Sunderland, before they went down the last time, there's been these clubs that have just circled the drain for years and years, and then eventually they do go down. Whereas Everton, the new ownership, I know Moyes took Sunderland down, but I don't think you'll see Moyes get relegated when a club's not in actual turmoil. So yeah, I don't think Everton will be anywhere near the relegation scrap this season. And looks like they've done quite well this summer as well, to be fair to them. Yeah, I'd say Slot should be favourite for that. He should be favourite for that. I mean, the player one's a bit more interesting. Our 2 lads that are up for it, Hugo Ekitike, who's obviously started the season so well, maybe a smidge quiet against Arsenal. It was just kind of one of those games, wasn't it? But he was really good against Bournemouth. He was okay against Newcastle. Obviously a good goal, but not the. It was a weird game, wasn't it? Like he wasn't consistently involved, but a goal is a goal, you know. The goal is a goal. So yeah, no surprise he's up there, and he's been really good. Like I wasn't a big Bundesliga. I didn't watch the Bundesliga at all. I think the only time I watched Bundesliga was that week in COVID before the Premier League came back, or the 2 weeks before the Premier League came back. And you always have that stigma about Bundesliga players, don't you? Considering we signed everyone from the Bundesliga this summer, it's kind of a scary thought. But we've seen forwards come from that league in the past and struggle. Your Werners, etc. You Havertz at Chelsea, probably done a bit better at Arsenal, but still, you know. And he's kind of took to it like a duck to water, and it obviously will be interesting to see how his role changes now that Isak's in the door. But yeah, Hugo's done really well. Probably more interestingly is Dominic Szoboszlai on there. Bournemouth, he was good. He played as the number 8, didn't he? And he was good, but he also messed about with the ball for one of their goals, if I remember correctly. But he was still good in that game. And then the 2 games at right back, he was bloody sensational. Like, Arsenal, he was definitely man of the match because, well, look at the thunder bastard he scored. And he locked down Martinelli, which is probably easier nowadays, but how many years did we see Trent get roasted by Martinelli, you know? And Newcastle, he was sensational. Like, he was easy. It was between him and Van Dijk for man of the match easily. So it's no surprise he's in there. I mean, maybe Van Dijk should have been in for this as well. Like, I know we conceded a lot of goals, but he was sensational against. He was sensational against Arsenal. He was sensational against Newcastle. Bournemouth was a bit more messy, so maybe not that. Well, I'm not surprised either of them are up for this award. They're up against Calafiori, who's been good for Arsenal. Jack Grealish. I have not watched like even all of Match of the Days, to be fair, but like I know Grealish is getting good numbers for Everton and been really good so far. Mark Gahey scored that wonderful goal at the weekend, and Palace's defense has been really good so far. Haaland's obviously scoring for Man City. João Pedro's had a really good start to life at Chelsea. And Semenyo, who he looks like he's probably going to be the main man for Bournemouth. Maybe he already was in terms of the attack, but it'll be interesting to see if he can go up another level this season. But like Semenyo and Evan Nielsen, I know Evan Nielsen got the goal against Spurs, but that'll be an interesting partnership because the rest of it seems quite fluid at Bournemouth. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'd say Dom has a bigger shout than Hugo out of our two lads. And then it wouldn't surprise me if Grealish gets it. Like the English buys. Mind, I'm guessing it's a vote. Screw it, just everyone vote for Dom. There is a vote. There's a link. There's links all over Twitter. I think there's on the Liverpool website as well if you need it. But yeah, I'd say Dom's probably our favourite out of that, and then Grealish wouldn't surprise me if people get behind him because he's obviously quite popular. But that's a good way to start the season. We have 3 people up for awards already, and it's only just turned September, so let's go. As ever, every time a transfer window happens, we then look to the next one. So that's why we get to talk about transfers now. I'm looking at this as Anfield. Michael Elise name-checked as possible Mohamed Salah successor. And I think anyone who watched him at Palace definitely saw the vision. He was that last season, especially under Glasner, or 3/4 of a season under Glasner. He was phenomenal. Like he was probably the most exciting player in the league. And considering it was for a Palace team that was partially managed by Roy Hodgson, and he was always excellent, even under Roy Hodgson. He's phenomenal. Like he's 23-year-old. If we get him next summer or the summer after, he'll be 24, 25, start of his peak. And he is just phenomenal. Maybe he doesn't have the goal scoring capability of Mo Salah. Not many players do. But we just kind of signed a striker for 125 million who might be able to do that. But like, nobody wants Mo Salah to go. Nobody wants to go. But if we're thinking long term, like if we have a front 4 of Isak up front, Wirtz behind, Elise on the right, and then would Rio be ready? Maybe he's going to be one of those freaks who's just the best player in the world at 18, 19. Maybe. If not, I mean, Gakpo, not as exciting. Maybe Hugo develops into the left attacker. But I mean, even the 3 names I mentioned, that would probably be set in stone if we did get Elise, obviously. Like, that's a terrifying front 3 already. That's a terrifying front 3. And that's not to mean that Mo Salah will go as well. Obviously, he's got records to break in the Premier League. But at this stage, Mo can just stay as long as he wants. But, yeah, who did actually? Is it Lewis Steele? Yeah, Lewis Steele name-checked him. And Lewis Steele's obviously probably became one of the most reliable names in terms of Liverpool journalism probably the last couple summers or last couple seasons, hasn't he? So yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and I think there's a rumor about him having a release clause, but we've shown this summer we're willing to spend big on the right people, and if you look at our squad, obviously we've got probably one more centre back to get. Maybe a more progressive midfielder, like we're linked with Wharton, aren't we, for next summer? But if you think in the next 2 summers or January maybe for one of these, but say if we get Gahey, Wharton, Elise as like the next big free target, we still have Leone to grow into the into a role. We have Trey to grow into a role. We have Rio to grow into a role. It's kind of a terrifying look